Let's first put out all the latest numbers that's been released by the government on the total cases of coronavirus, which now stands at 42,836. The death toll, unfortunately, is also climbed up to 1,389. Also breaking down the state-wise data for you, Maharashtra is the worst affected state with 12,974 cases of coronavirus, and so far 548 deaths have been reported in the state. In Gujarat, the number of cases of COVID-19 has increased to 5,428 and 290 deaths have been reported so far in Gujarat. Over to the national capital, where 4,549 cases of coronavirus have been confirmed. The death toll stands at 64. Those are the latest figures as of 6:30 this morning. Let's also take a look at the top 5 developments on the coronavirus outbreak in India. Maharashtra has reported 771 coronavirus cases and 35 deaths in the last 24 hours. The total cases is now inching towards the 13,000 mark. 12 policemen posted at a single police station in Mumbai have tested positive. Following this, 6 officers and 40 policemen have been quarantined. Delhi has reported 349 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours. Total cases are now inching towards the 5,000 mark. In some relief, no deaths have been reported for the second consecutive day. The death toll in the capital stands at 64 and the total number of containment zones has now dropped to 90. The Uttar Pradesh government has allowed 6 continuous process industries to function. Most of them include cold storages and dairy farms. These industries will have to function as per the guidelines given by the centre, maintaining all social distancing norms. Jharkhand and Kerala are the 2 states that have not reported any new coronavirus cases for the second consecutive day. The total number of cases in Jharkhand stands at 115, while Kerala has a total of 500 cases. The Tamil Nadu government has appointed 19 IAS officers as nodal officers to facilitate the movement of stranded students, labourers and pilgrims. These officers will coordinate inter- and intrastate travel of stranded people as per standard protocol set up by the centre and respective states. So India enters day 2 of lockdown 3.0. On day 1, streets across the nation resembled rush hour traffic on any other normal given day. Similar rush is also expected today. As per the new guidelines, industrial units and shops opened with precautions in non-containment zones. The government had also permitted e-commerce deliveries of all goods in orange and red zones, in green zones, I beg your pardon. In red zones, however, it remains restricted to the delivery of essential items only. Salons and spa services in red zones remain closed. However, restrictions on these services in orange and green zones resumed. India will remain under partial lockdown till May 17th.
Confusion and chaos on day 1 of lockdown 3.0. All shops are allowed to open, but the one that stood out are these liquor shops. In the capital, citizens deprived of spirits for over a month forgot all COVID norms, standing in queues hours before the shops opened, some as early as 6 a.m. Police lathi-charged crowds at multiple places in Delhi, including Kashmiri Gate and Narela.
You can see there is a long line on both sides of the Theka, and people are waiting very patiently, wearing masks, standing in the circles that have been created here, have been set up here to maintain social distancing. But the tipplers are very, very keen on getting their fix that they've been deprived of for the last month.
The roads too were busy. Palam at 6 p.m. resembled rush hour traffic on a normal day. The centre and Delhi government traded charges over the easing of curbs.
कोई निर्णय हो गया है जाने अनजाने में और उसका अगर दुष्परिणाम या दुष्प्रभाव स्पष्ट रूप से हमको दिखाई दे रहा है तो फिर मुझे लगता है कि उस निर्णय को बरकरार रखना मैं इसको उचित नहीं मानता।
Delhi CM appealed to citizens to follow social distancing norms.
कुछ जगहों पे लोगों ने सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग नहीं मानी, भगदड़ मच गई। इससे किसका नुकसान हो रहा है? आपका ही नुकसान हो रहा है। तो क्यों इस तरह का रिस्क मोल लेते हो? कसम खा लो कि कल से हम इस तरह की हरकत नहीं करेंगे, कल से हम इस तरह की भगदड़ नहीं करेंगे।
Maharashtra, the worst affected state, also eased curbs in non-containment zones. Mumbai got a taste of its past heady days as streets came to life again. In Mumbai too, big rush was witnessed outside liquor shops. In Bengaluru, IT offices remained shut despite government clearance. Some industrial units opened with precautions. Long queues were witnessed outside liquor outlets.
Now finally, liquor shops are open in Bengaluru. In fact, from 9 to 7 is the timing that they have been given. Now this is a wine store on St. Mark's Road. Now at sharp 9 o'clock in the morning, they actually open. And you can clearly see the people over here have to stand maintaining social distancing. And not just that, everyone who comes over here has to wear their mask.
The visuals of the day probably came from Andhra's Chittoor. Hundreds came out to end their dry run even as the state government hiked prices by 25%. All this makes one wonder if India is squandering the gains it made through 40 days of lockdown. Bureau Report, India Today.
We all saw the kind of chaos that was witnessed outside liquor shops in the national capital yesterday. The Delhi government, as a result, has cracked the whip. And in a late-night order, the government levied 70% additional corona tax on liquor above the maximum retail price. This decision comes after customers in the national capital did not adhere to social distancing norms, after which police in several areas resorted to a lathi charge, including in areas like Kashmiri Gate and Narela. West Bengal, meanwhile, will be opening liquor shops today with restrictions. The government has allowed only 2 bottles per person and no liquor will be given without mask. In Haryana, booze shops didn't see the light of day yesterday as shop owners demanded relaxation in fee and taxes. Now, the city of Chennai has seen a spike in the number of coronavirus cases, and it's not just about 5 clusters that have been identified in the city that are creating a serious problem for authorities, but also several other factors, including, curiously, the double lockdown in the city that was meant to control the spread of the virus. We break down why Chennai has seen a rise in cases in this report.
Chennai has seen a worrying spike in the coronavirus numbers in the last 1 week. The sudden spurt is being attributed to a slew of factors. The biggest factor, the famous Coimbatore market. Over 100 cases have come to light from the market. This cluster has become a huge issue as cases linked to this market have sprung up in several districts of Tamil Nadu and even in neighbouring Kerala. The authorities have now decentralized the market and split it into 2 to ensure no crowds are allowed to gather now. Another issue was the double lockdown that was enforced in Chennai from April 26 to 29th. While it was meant to control the spread of the virus, the announcement backfired. It led to panic buying by hundreds of people, throwing all social distancing norms to the wind in several places, including the Coimbatore market. And it's not just Coimbatore. 5 clusters have been identified in Chennai city alone. This includes a religious prayer meet that was organized in Chennai's Thiruvikanagar. IT hubs of the city as a result were also declared containment zones and other markets also shut.
there has been an increase, there has been a major spike in the number of cases which are reported. In the last 1 week, on an everyday basis, there has been more than 100 cases reported from the city alone. Generally, on a normal day, this place will be buzzing with activity. But now, post the lockdown, what we can see here is empty, deserted look. All of the buildings, the IT buildings here, have all been locked off because of COVID-19.
Nearly 98% of cases in Chennai have been asymptomatic. And that has proved to be a serious challenge for authorities. And that's why the Chennai Corporation has come up with a new strategy. House-to-house screening in every containment zone. And finally, let's not forget, this spike in numbers is because of increased testing in Chennai. 5,225 tests per million were being conducted as of 1st May, according to the Chennai Corporation.
Apart from your vegetables, your groceries and your essential services, the standalone shops can open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Chennai Corporation has also said that plumbers, electricians, all of them can get passes from the corporation and they can go back to work. Also, domestic help can get passes and go back to work. Everyone must maintain norms of social distancing and everyone must wear a mask. The video journalist Divin Rajkumar, Shalini Lobo in Chennai for India Today.
Over to updates from the state of Bengal, where once again the focus is on the politics over coronavirus. The interministerial central team that was in Kolkata has criticised the strategy of the Mamata Banerjee government to fight COVID-19. The team said that the mortality rate of 12.8% for COVID-19 cases in Bengal is the highest in the country, a charge that was refuted by the TMC-led government. Meanwhile, the fight between Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Governor Jagdeep Dhankar rages on. The governor has expressed concern over the alleged politicization of the public distribution system. He also said that there were disturbing reports of disposal of COVID-19 dead bodies. The TMC accused the ruling party of spreading misinformation and claimed that the state was doing well in combating the pandemic.
It is shameful that a governor has to claim credit for bringing rice under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana to the state. It would have come anyway. Governor's intervention was not at all necessary. And even if he intervened, he is acting like a political leader that I brought it. No. It would have come, it's allotted to the state would have got it and distributed it. Then state has already started the process.
And after more than 40 days, migrants have started to return to their respective states. But the issue has also snowballed into a massive controversy. Migrant workers in Gujarat told India Today that they were made to pay for their train journey to Uttar Pradesh. These workers claim they were made to pay over 600 rupees for boarding a Shramik Express train from Nadiad in Gujarat to Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the revelation comes after the BJP had claimed that only opposition-led states were charging migrants for ferrying them home. The railways rolled out the Shramik special trains on Friday to ferry migrants stranded due to the COVID-19 lockdown to their respective states.
सर हम नडियाद से और जा रहे हैं बलिया जिला
यानी
यूपी बलिया जिला सर।
कितना टिकट लिया आपने?
हाँ टिकट लिया था सर, 690 का टिकट था सर, जिसमें 55 रुपया वापस हुआ है सर, और खाना का पैकेज मिला है और एक पानी की बोतल मिली है सर।
So 15 special trains were dispatched by the Indian Railways to evacuate stranded migrant workers across the states. But the fight over the train fares has now erupted. The opposition is accusing the centre of making these poor migrants actually pay for their tickets. The government has maintained that states have to foot just 15% of the bill. So what is this confusion all about and who's paying for the evacuation? We break down that and much more in this report.
Over 2 weeks ago, migrant workers had come out in Bandra to board trains that were yet to be cleared. Today, hundreds of them lined up in the same area to attend a medical camp organized by the Mumbai police. The medical certificates are a prerequisite to board the train.
मेरे पास 400 रुपया है, मैं इसमें से हम लोग गाँव जाएगा। अगर हम लोग को देने पड़ेगा तो गांव से मंगाने पड़ेगा या कुछ बंदोबस्त करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो मोबाइल कुछ बेचने पड़ेगा।
अभी जहाँ तक जाने की बात है तो अभी सुनने में आया कि टिकट का भाड़ा भी लगता है, तो सेठ से बात करेंगे कि भाड़ा का पैसा दो, हम लोग पहुँच जाएंगे।
As the railways began running special trains to ferry migrants back home late last week, who will pay up for the mass transport escalated into a political row between the opposition and the central government. This after the guidelines were rolled out. The state governments were initially asked to collect train fare from the travellers and hand it over to the railways. By Monday, the opposition Congress staged a full-blown attack. Sonia Gandhi offered that her party will bear train fares of migrant workers.
ये विकट हालात देखकर कांग्रेस पार्टी ने निर्णय लिया कि हर प्रदेश में जरूरतमंद श्रमिक भाइयों और बहनों के घर लौटने की रेल यात्रा का खर्च उठाएंगे.
Her son, Rahul, questioned the railway ministry's donations to the PM Cares Fund. On the defensive, the central government went into a quick damage control, saying migrants will not be charged for their travel.
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हो या रेलवेज हो, किसी भी कोशिश में हमने कभी भी कोई भी वर्कर से चार्ज करने की बात नहीं की है. हमने 85% जो पूरी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का कॉस्ट बियर किया जाता है, वह 85% जो है वो रेलवेज बियर करती हैं, 15% स्टेट को बियर करना है.
With assembly elections due later this year in Bihar, one of the key exporters of migrant workforce across India, Bihar government assured the migrants of free travel back home.
उनके लिए पूरा का पूरा क्वारंटाइन सेंटर बनाया गया है और इंतजाम किया गया, वहां उनको 21 दिन तक रहना है. और जब वो निकलेंगे 21 दिन के बाद, तो आने में उनको जितना भी खर्च हुआ बाहर से, और उसके अलावे 500 रुपया और राज्य सरकार उनको देगी.
Meantime, the central government accused the opposition of politicking.
दुख की बात है कि इस समय इस तरह की राजनीतिक बात की जा रही है. प्रधानमंत्री जी से ज़्यादा गरीबों के कल्याण के लिए सोचने वाला अभी तक तो मुझे लगता नहीं कि कोई दुनिया में कोई मसीहा पैदा हुआ है.
Migrant workers earlier had to trudge back to their villages on foot after they were rendered jobless. Onus now lies on the centre as well as the state governments to ensure a free train ride to them so that they can avoid the hardship of travelling back on foot and also save money for the tougher days ahead. With Bureau Reports, this is Anand Patel in New Delhi for India Today.
And well, even as the process is on for migrant labourers to head back to their natives, the central government will now start also evacuating Indian nationals who are stuck abroad due to the COVID-19 lockdown from May 7th. The government will bring back the stranded in a phased manner, and the return will be arranged by both aircraft and naval ships, and a standard operating procedure will be prepared. For air travel, non-scheduled commercial flights will be arranged, and this will be made available on a payment basis. Earlier, the government had paid for the evacuation of Indian nationals abroad before the lockdown. All passengers will be screened before they are allowed to board flights, and only asymptomatic passengers would be allowed to travel. Upon their arrival, the passengers will also have to download the Arogya Setu app and will go through another round of screening, which will be followed by a 14-day quarantine period.
क्या हम लोग तैयार हैं अगर एवैक्यूएशन प्लान होता है तो उनके क्वारंटाइन सेंटर के लिए और बाहर से जो लोग आएंगे उनके रखरखाव के लिए, और इसकी तैयारी कर ली गई है?
सर, अभी इसके ऊपर डिस्कशन चल रहा है. अगर कभी भी ये डिसीजन लिया जाएगा तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स आपको डिटेल में ब्रीफ कर सकते हैं, बट शॉर्ट में मैं आप लोगों की नॉलेज में लाऊंगा कि अगर कोई भी डिसीजन होता है तो वो एक स्टैंडर्ड SOP के तहत होगा और उसके तहत ही कार्य किया जाएगा.
Now, the central government has made the Arogya Setu app mandatory for all government and private office goers. But while the government says that the app is India's Brahmastra to fight the coronavirus, tracking COVID infections, many including the opposition, have raised concerns about data privacy.
Arogya Setu app is being touted as India's Brahmastra in fighting the coronavirus pandemic. The centre has made the contact tracing app mandatory for all employees, both private and government. It is also encouraging citizens to download and use its location and Bluetooth-based mobile application. India Today conducted a reality check on day one of Lockdown 3.0.
Did your management send out any letter? Did your management send out any communication? Because now the government is saying anyone who's working should have it.
Initially only we downloaded by ourselves, but our organization has also advised us to download the app. We have got official mails to download the app.
मैंने डाउनलोड करने का तो सोचा था, पर कुछ लोगों का ऐसा कहना है कि उससे प्राइवेसी लीक हो रही है और मतलब जो भी हमारा डेटा है वो गवर्नमेंट उसको डिटेक्ट कर रही है, तो इस वजह से मैंने डाउनलोड नहीं किया।
All police personnel on duty have downloaded the app. The app alerts users if they come in contact with COVID-19 patients. Using Bluetooth and GPS tracking, it pinpoints the location of the user and calculates the risk of infection based on proximity to any patient. The app also provides useful instructions in combating the viral disease. The government is likely to use the app to issue e-passes to facilitate travel from one place to another.
Through the app, we can catch the disease, we can catch the virus, even though it is trying to spread insidiously through asymptomatic people. That's why you should download the app.
The Congress is calling the app a sophisticated surveillance system, a charge vehemently denied by the government, which asserts it has a robust data security architecture.
Now Google has come out with such an app. So world over, this app is being preferred over other means of tracking. I think that's a best scientific instrument. There is nothing of privacy related matter or any information to be collected. There is no information.
Activists say that user consent, a fundamental principle for digital privacy, has been rendered meaningless with the centre making the Arogya Setu app mandatory for a large section of people. Maybe desperate times call for desperate measures. With Arvind Ojha, Himanshu Mishra and Gaurav Sawant in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Hours after Pakistan-sponsored terrorists carried out a second terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir's Handwara yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took a whale dig at Pakistan during the NAM virtual summit. Addressing the non-aligned nations, Prime Minister Modi said that some are resorting to the deadly virus of terrorism and fake news in the times of the coronavirus pandemic. Remember, 5 army men, including a colonel and major, were martyred in Handwara on Saturday. 2 days later, a CRPF patrol party was attacked by terrorists, in which in fact 3 paramilitary personnel laid down their lives before eliminating a terrorist.
Even as the world fights COVID-19, some people are busy spreading other deadly viruses such as terrorism, such as fake news and doctored videos to divide communities and countries.
With that, we're slipping into a short break here on First Up. For all the latest news and updates on coronavirus, you can log on to our website indiatoday.in. Do also download the India Today app. We hope you're staying home and staying safe.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.